We're poised for the greatest movement in mission perhaps the world's ever seen.
I believe that seldom in history have we had this kind of opportunity, where the global South together with the global North can partner together to impact the nations with the gospel.
Wow, this is such a unique chance to share the gospel on such a large scale. So I don't know what will you call it differently than a Kairos moment.
The earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. In this new day of 21st century mission, God is calling and empowering His global church to bring the gospel to every nation, tribe, and language, fulfilling His prophetic promise.
Now we are sending more than 20,000 missionaries to all over the world.
I think this next century, one of the most exciting things we're going to see is just how exactly the church in China can contribute to the growth of God's kingdom all around the world.
Churches are praying, churches are giving, churches are going, and it's amazing what God is doing in Malaysia.
We can do something. It's not only for Western missionaries, it's also for us, Romanians.
There are many reasons why this is a time of great hope and encouragement for the global mission movement. Standing above them all is the rise of the mission force in the non-Western world. Countries that once received missionaries are now sending missionaries. Africans are going to Europe, South Americans to the Middle East, Koreans to Central Asia, and Filipinos are going everywhere.
There's an energy there, there's a dynamic there, there's an excitement. You go into some of these countries in Africa and Asia and you shout out missions and everyone goes, yes!
Africa, for example, used to be the mission field, but now it's a mission force.
This celebrated progress in global mission today builds on the strong foundation of what came before. At the end of the 20th century, a refocusing on the unfinished task led to a major shift of mission resources. Just a few decades ago, only 2% of the missionaries were working with least reached people groups. Now that number has grown to more than 20%. Many of these new workers come from the non-Western world, responding to the need to preach the gospel where Christ is not known.
I think the greatest areas of need for the gospel today are in the most neglected places of the world.
Pakistan is just one example of countries in Asia and Africa with multitudes of least reached people groups. Its population of nearly 200 million people come from over 350 ethnic groups or castes, most with no churches, no Christians, and no gospel witness. Few other countries present greater challenges for mission than Pakistan.
The key to the Great Commission is make disciples of all nations, but we haven't gone to all nations. We still have thousands of people groups that have no missionary, no church, and no one even planning to go, and that's the heartbreak.
While pioneer work is desperately needed in many areas of the world, another mission focus has emerged. Places where the church once thrived are now in need of re-evangelization.
Today, Europe is as much a mission field as other mission fields. In fact, the re-evangelization of Europe has to be on the top of any global agenda of the church.
I believe it's possible for the church to complete the Great Commission, and very quickly. We have the resources, we have information about where the people are, the language they speak. And I think what we need to do is to make a real commitment to go quickly about it. The church can do it.
We are a people of hope that have a global hope and a global Messiah. So it's time to get this thing fulfilled for the Son of God and see the glory that comes to Him.
We have to be part of the plan. And the plan is to make disciples from all nations.
In many parts of the world, there are people groups without the gospel, living in close proximity to places where the church is thriving. Christians are recognizing that God is calling them to bring the gospel to these least reached peoples in their midst.
The best people to reach them now are those that are closest to them, not just geographically, but culturally and linguistically as well. Africans reaching least reached Africans, Asians reaching least reached Asians.
Globalization means the nations are no longer locked into geographical areas. Wars, persecution, and economic conditions have driven multitudes to seek a better life in other lands.
In the last 20 to 30 years, we've seen God, the God of the nations, moving these nations all around the world. There's been mass migration.
Least reached peoples of almost every faith and ethnic group are now within the reach of the church. But who will bring the gospel to them? With unprecedented opportunities for mission near and far, the challenge today is for the whole church to catch the vision.
The church has always been God's greatest vehicle for reaching the unreached.
If we don't do it, then who will?
The key is mobilization. Unless and until we mobilize the church will not get involved in missions.
It is also vital to impart this vision to the next generation.
What encourages me most about the young people in our context is that there is a real desire to wholeheartedly follow God. Once they grasp the concept that God has designed me for His purposes, there's a real yearning to say, Lord, here I am. Do whatever that you want with me.
Young people in Romania are also catching the vision.
It's amazing to see their enthusiasm and to see their passion and to see their desire to use their lives for something so significant, like taking the gospel to those who have never heard. And they realize what a tremendous opportunity and privilege this is.
God is raising up young people for missions. Children as young as 6 or 7 years old raise their hands and say, I want to be involved in missions.
We really do not realize the power and the potential that are in children to take the gospel to others.
God is preparing a bride for Christ who will rule and reign with Him throughout all ages that lie ahead. This is the reason why we exist as a church on earth.
The bride of Christ will only be complete when people from every nation, tribe, and language are worshiping God.
Because it is of the Lord, it will be done.
If you love God with all your heart, with all your might, with everything that's within you, you cannot but engage in reaching all people, and especially those who've never heard about Jesus Christ.
This is not just for the unreached. The Great Commission's for us. If we embrace it, we learn how to lay down our life and deny ourselves and take up our cross. And this amazing work of transformation takes place in us. The bride is making herself ready. And as we do that, there will come this cry from God's church all over the world, among all the people groups of the world. Come, Lord Jesus.